Both the Legion Go 2 and the Xbox Ally X released somewhat about of a month ago. Some a little bit more, one a little bit less, but roughly a month ago. And in that time, they've actually been very popular devices. The Legion Go 2 has been basically unobtainium for those of you who've been dying to get your hands on it. It has been impossible to buy at open box retailers, and you're being forced to buy from scalpers. Hopefully we should see one or two restocks before Christmas, so those of you hoping to get it for Christmas should be able to buy it. And on top of that, we're starting to see some Black Friday and holiday sales for some of their contemporary devices, like the Legion Go S. Though I do anticipate not seeing any major sales, at least for the Xbox Ally X and the Legion Go 2, primarily because of how new they are. Though if you are waiting for a sale, we should start seeing them sometime mid to early next year. I am starting to see, though, open box pricing for these things, and I can't say for certain whether or not that's going to be a stable price, but for that reason, I'm going to sort of omit that from this video because it's not really worth talking about, because having open box stock isn't very consistent quite yet, especially because, like I said, how new these devices truly are. For what it's worth, though, both devices are very good, very popular, and I've shared my fair bit of critique about these things. But if you are going to buy both these devices, even though I think there are better alternatives, if you were to buy these, between these two specifically, which ones should you buy? And I'm only going to be talking about base models because anything more than that to me seems frankly unnecessary or just upgradable yourself. And I know you can't upgrade the memory, at least easily. I'm sure somebody, like they did with the Steam Deck, is going to find a way to unsolder the pads and apply new NAND packages and increase the RAM capacity to 2 terabytes for some reason. This kind of community is always kind of crazy with these kinds of mods and aftermarket hacks and whatever. Either way, we're going to be talking about the base models for both these devices. Starting off with the Xbox Ally X. This device is using the Z2 Extreme, 24GB of total RAM, 1TB of SSD storage. And for what it's worth, it is incredibly powerful, having 8GB of RAM dedicated to the GPU, allowing it to have wing more of sort of the space it needs to properly perform, unlike something like the Steam Deck, which, for what it's worth, still performs fantastically, but just having that extra memory actually does go a long way in improving the graphical power that you can actually have at your disposal, and of course a pretty standard 1TB of storage. I would have mentioned the original base model Xbox Ally, but that device is way, and I mean way more underwhelming than I had initially anticipated it being. That Z2A is super gimped in way more than I had anticipated being. So if you're going to be in the market of buying one of those for about $600, I would avoid it. And you are much better off of buying one of the other devices out there with a Z1 Extreme based chip, whether that's a Legion Go S or an original Ally or even an original Legion Go. Anything with a Z1 Extreme will just dominate. Even the Z2 Go chip found in the Legion Go S is faster than that thing, so we are really going to be avoiding that one like the plague. The ROG Xbox Ally X, though, is very nice. It's black, huge, just meaty grips on the side. For what it's worth, it is incredibly comfortable, but it is frankly rather ugly in a rather chunky device. It reuses the same 1080p IPS 120Hz display with VRR, and it's fine. It's never like it was a bad screen to begin with, but I would have liked to see something better by now, because the original Ally released like 2 or 3 years ago at this point, and you would have thought that they would have had somewhat better technology by now, which could have improved upon what screen they used in here, or even just using a slightly newer panel with better contrast and colors. But nope, it's the same one that they've been using since the original Ally, so take it for what you will. And the primary difference that you're going to be getting with this device, at least experience-wise, is that customized Microsoft-made Xbox gaming operating system. It's not its wholly unique thing, it is just a modified version of normal Windows. And with that being the case, it is still Windows to its core, but it is drastically improved the navigational experience, and just overall usability is significantly higher. It's not quite to the level of something like a Steam Deck, but it is still significantly better than using plain Jane stock Windows. We're slowly starting to see this operating system, or variant rather, of Windows slowly make its way available to other devices, but as it currently stands, it is incredibly limited and exclusive to the Xbox Insider program. If that's changed, leave a comment down below, but I haven't really seen anything otherwise to the contrary. Either way, this device is fantastic. Z2 Extreme performs very nicely, and it holds up quite well. But there are some minor deficits, especially with the design in my opinion, but that is quite frankly subjective at the end of the day. The operating system also has its own minor issues, but those will be ironed out with time. Much like all these other PC handhelds, they launch in a less than stellar state with their operating system or their launchers or their shortcuts, and with time they get significantly better. I remember everybody complaining about the Legion Go's launcher stuff, and it was not very good. And at the beginning too, people didn't really like Asus's Armory Crate stuff with the original Ally. So I think any issues that you might encounter will be ironed out with time. And overall, this is a great experience, pretty decent battery life, and overall, it's pretty good. The Legion Go 2, on the other hand, starting at a higher price of about $1,100 with a standard Z2, not a Z2 Extreme, but a standard Z2, you need to pay at least $1,350 to start getting a Z2 Extreme equipped device, which is significantly more expensive. That is $250 more that you need to be spending just to get something of equivalent power. Granted, there isn't actually that huge of a difference between the Z2 and the Z2 Extreme. ETA Prime did a great video talking about this, but fundamentally, there are certain cases where they can perform nearly identically. But in cases where you can gain higher utilization out of your GPU, you actually can see the difference between the two architectures. But there's still some weird things happening. Maybe these will be ironed out with time. But at lower wattages, the Z2 Non-Extreme is showing to be just a little bit more powerful, specifically at that 17-watt power tier, which is rather interesting. I'm sure that eventually we'll get like a driver update from AMD to make the Z2 Extreme, which should be more powerful on paper, actually be more powerful at those lower wattages. Once again though, it only really materializes in certain situations where the Z2 Non-Extreme is actually more powerful, and it's very uncommon to my understanding, and is most likely a driver thing, less of an this thing is actually crappier than we thought it was. There are some things though AMD does need to iron out, but as it currently stands, they perform somewhat similar, and sometimes there's only a few FPS difference, but it doesn't entirely matter. If you don't care about losing that couple of percentage, you can save some money and get the base model $1,100 Z2 Non-Extreme equipped Legion Go 2. But we're talking about the base variant of the version that comes with the Z2 Extreme, which means that you're going to be paying $1,350 for this device, for it to be on par or similar to the Xbox Ally X. Granted though, it does come with 32 gigabytes of memory, which is 8 more gigs than what you would be getting on the Xbox Ally, which can be very nice. 16 dedicated to both means playing games with the higher resolution textures become a little bit easier to run. Games like, Last of Us 2 Remastered or Last of Us Remastered or whatever Last of Us game, I can't remember, came out and it was just a VRAM hog. But it only really matters if you're playing games at 4K, and you're not gonna be doing that on this device. No matter how much VRAM you have, it's not gonna really help you push that 1080p barrier much beyond 1080p. Unless, of course, you're playing like an indie game, but then again, it doesn't really matter because it's still gonna be plenty sharp at 1080p because this is still an 8-inch display. So it doesn't really matter how much VRAM you have if your GPU is still very weak. Not to say that it's weak or anything, but it's just not necessarily going to be equipped for that 4K gaming like some people might hope, considering you can have a full 16 gigs allocated to it directly. So it just doesn't really matter. Outside of the spending more money part, you're still getting a very nice handheld. You get that big, beautiful OLED display. You also have gigantic detachable controllers with a built-in trackpad, drastically increasing the usability of navigating traditional windows, which is what this comes with. Unfortunately, you don't have access, at least yet, to that amazing Xbox Ally Windows front-end system, which is really cool, but it's just better than navigating normal windows, even with a trackpad. Most people, though, don't generally care about that kind of stuff. They care about the experience playing games, and having that big, beautiful OLED display is enough for a lot of people to say that's all you need. That's worth the upgrade right there. But you're spending like $500-600 more on a game system that was last generation starting at $800 with a top tier chip. Now you're having to fork over a lot more money to get similar performance. It just isn't worth it. The Legion Go 2 is an amazing handheld. It is so popular right now that is basically unobtainium for a lot of people. It is having a hard time staying in stock at most brick and mortar retailers. Lenovo has straight up stopped selling it on their main site because of how perpetually out of stock this thing is, and hopefully with time, stock becomes significantly better, but you might not even get a choice in whether or not you can get this thing this holiday season because it just might not even come back in stock. Though, my hopes are higher that you might get at least one restock before Christmas, though the likelihood of you being able to get anything out of it, though, is really luck of the draw. The raw core experience of using this device is gonna be probably a lot nicer than using the Xbox Ally. The bigger, more beautiful screen, to me, frankly, a more comfortable ergonomic setup, a more friendly to use trackpad, which I vastly prefer over using analog stick control, but it does come with its downsides of using box standard Windows, and it being almost $1,400 to get something similarly equipped as the Xbox Ally. And yes, it has 32 GB of memory, but that extra 8 gigs is not really going to be all that useful. Overall, my final recommendations, if you are looking to buy something with a Z2 Extreme specifically from the Legion Go, look at other boutique manufacturers like GBD. I have a discount code down below for 5% off. They're not sponsoring or anything, they just like the channel and they gave me a discount code. But it doesn't even necessarily have to be from them. There's also the 1X Fly Apex. That is an amazing handheld, similarly priced to the Legion Go 2 with a significantly more powerful chipset. Or, in the case of GBD, you can get the exact same price device, starting at $1,350. Get, granted, not the highest tier chip, but it's still an 8050S. That's graphics capable of similar performance to an RTX 4050. Like, come on. That is just a significantly overall better gaming experience for the money than you're getting with a Legion Go 2. So between these two devices, I overwhelmingly recommend the Xbox Ally. It is, yes, a worse screen, but it is better in every aspect when it comes to price, configuration, availability. It is just a significantly more attainable and usable handheld, and I think is overall a smarter choice. I would love to hear what you guys think though. Are you interested in getting any of these handhelds? Have you tried and failed to get a Legion Go 2? Or if you have gotten one, how are you enjoying it? Did this video help you decide one way or the other which one to get, or did it tell you to go in a completely different direction? I'd love to hear what you guys think about this in the comment section. The affiliate links will be in the description. If you click on those, they go a long way in helping support the channel. Specifically, the GPD one will get you 5% off, which is super cool. Also, still not sponsored anyway, they just like the channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All the other social media garbage down below. And last but not least, have a wonderful day.